My name's Father Sam French. I'm very recently ordained, just back in the end of 2021. My vocation story is somewhat interesting. It's really a story about God's unsolicited call, I suppose you could say. I was just out of high school. I was about 18 years old, and I had started a degree in psychology at a university in Sydney. And one day when I was on the train, I was kind of thinking about my future, as you do at that kind of age. And although I really loved the subject of psychology and I found it extremely interesting, there was something that just felt wrong about it being my career path. And so I thought, I'd had a very strong cradle Catholic upbringing and God was very much a part of my life, but I had simply never considered the idea of priesthood. It was just kind of insane to me. My thoughts were always that I would have a successful career, I'd have money, I'd have a family, I'd have children, and that was just kind of it. But this one day on the train, I was sitting there and I thought, well, God, what is it that you want me to do? And then all of a sudden this idea of priesthood, or this image of a priest in particular, just popped into my mind. And I thought, well, I just dismissed it, that's ridiculous. But then I thought, if I'm going to be intellectually honest, and I'm studying psychology, so I'm examining my thoughts all the time, maybe I'll just give this a chance. And the moment I actually open myself legitimately and fully to the idea of priesthood, I just had this overwhelming experience of the Holy Spirit, this warmth, this fire that really just kind of took over my mind. And I remember kind of getting a bit scared in the moment and trying to object to it and saying, what about my career? What about money? What about family? What about all these things I've ever wanted? And the way I describe it to people is it's like trying to put out a bushfire with a water pistol. It was like my objections just evaporated in kind of the context of this fire of the Holy Spirit. And so that was the beginning call of the journey. The next few years were kind of trying to work that out. So I actually dropped out of university that day. I was so sure. But then as the next few years went by, I was met with all kinds of challenges. So a lot of friends distancing themselves from me, seeing me as very strange and weird. And so I was really disheartened. And so I stepped back from the idea of priesthood and just got involved in parish ministry. I started dating a girl, which was actually a beautiful experience that brought me into a much richer view of what it means to give of oneself and to love. But over the course of time, that calling from God never went away. And it just became obvious to me after a period of time that God wanted me in the priesthood and there was no point fighting it. And so eventually I made that decision and I joined the seminary, and the rest is history. So I'm from I'm a cradle Catholic. I'm from a particularly strong Catholic family. We've got, there's 6 boys and 1 girl. And so I'm number 3 and number 4 in the family, my younger brother, Matt. He joined the seminary at the beginning of last year. So he has a slightly different story from me, but there's obviously there's an openness to discernment. There's an openness to the Spirit of God alive and active in our lives that I think we really inherited from our parents, who were they were very much involved in the charismatic community and having that strong and vibrant relationship with God and being honest in that relationship. And I think that's been, in a sense, we've inherited some of that. And I think it's by the holiness and the prayers of our parents that we've been given an upbringing that has given us the opportunity to see clearly God's will in our lives. So I'm forever grateful to God and my parents for that. So I think my view of goals has kind of evolved. I kind of gave you my teenage goals were very much, I suppose, worldly oriented towards career success, financial security, family, things like that. And now within the context of priesthood, and actually having spent a few months now on the ground and in real pastoral relationships with parishioners who are seeking God, my goal now is really holiness before anything else. I've become more aware than ever in the context of my priesthood that I'm a redeemed sinner, that I'm in just as much need of God as anyone who I serve, and trying to bring that message into the lives of people and to accompany them in that relationship but probably my priesthood would be the greatest goal I would have is bringing people to that personal relationship and love of God. And then inviting them into the life of the church, where where they can receive sacramental grace of reconciliation and, of course, the love of God in the Eucharist.